afternoon and thank you for joining us on FutureTV. I'm Lina Tamim and these are today's top stories. Lawmakers fail again to resolve the dispute on the value-added tax, but agreed to continue discussions to find ways to fund the new wage scale. Angry protesters defy the Lebanese army in the northern city of Tripoli on a mission to implement a security plan in the city. And Libya's caretaker government threatens to resign should it not be granted more power. The joint parliamentary committees fail again to resolve the dispute on the value-added tax, but agreed to continue discussions to find ways to fund the new wage scale. Deputy Speaker Farid Makari, who chaired the meeting of the committees, said during a press conference in Parliament that several articles of a proposal to fund the wage scale were approved, but due to differences on another issue, including VAT, they agreed to continue their talks after a parliamentary session set to take place on Wednesday and Thursday. A proposal has been made to raise VAT from 10 to 12% or increase it to 15% on certain luxury items. However, several parliamentary blocs rejected such a plan. The Syndicate Coordination Committee, a coalition of private and public school teachers and public sector employees, warned it will take to the streets on Wednesday if the new wage scale was not referred to Parliament for approval. Protesters in the northern city of Tripoli briefly blocked the roads in city's vegetable markets, Souq al-Qameh and Har al-Barraniyeh, urging authorities to end the raids that are part of a security plan aimed at restoring security across Lebanon's second largest city. Unidentified assailants also threw three bombs into the Abu Ali River to protest the detentions in the city. While gunfire was heard during the raids, security forces then confiscated 2 vehicles from the convoy of Salafist Sheikh Da al-Islam al-Shahal, who went down to see the protests. Shahal supporters later blocked the Badawi Tripoli road leading to Akkad, asking for the return of the 2 cars. The Salafist Sheikh says he joined the protest to listen to the people's complaints and that he was shocked by the army's behavior. President Michel Sleiman calls on security forces to continue implementing the security plan in the northern city of Tripoli, which has witnessed several rounds of clashes between the rival neighborhoods of Bab al-Tabani and Jabal Mohsen. Sleiman states that it is important to continue the steps that have been taken to impose security and stability and to pursue wanted individuals. A number of youths reacted to the army's action and blocked the Al-Badawi highway. However, the army managed to reopen it. Prime Minister Tamam Slam has received a delegation of Akkad deputies at the Grand Sarai today, with whom he discussed the ongoing security plan in Tripoli. Among Salam's visitors were National Defense Minister Samir Muqbil, Director of General Security Brigadier Abbas Brahim, Director General of the Internal Security Forces Brigadier Ibrahim Basbous. MP Khalid Dahir is calling for more security measures in order to execute the plan in a fair and transparent way in all regions. According to Future Movement Bloc MP Hadi Hbeish, today's parliamentary session will include a draft law regarding the full employment of the civil defense volunteers. However, he points out that the volunteers will have to undergo an exam to determine their qualifications, and those who pass will be upgraded. Earlier, civil defense volunteers from 9 stations held a sit-in near the regional center in the northern town of Qubayat. The volunteers have staged several sit-ins in recent days across Lebanon, erecting what they called love checkpoints. The parliament will hold a legislative session on Wednesday and Thursday with several key issues on its agenda taught by the new wage scale. German authorities have banned an organization they say have raised millions of dollars for the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, which the European Union considers a terrorist organization. Emily Haber, a deputy interior minister, says police raided 19 locations in 6 German states used by the so-called Orphan Children Project Lebanon. They seized 40 boxes of evidence, including Hezbollah paraphernalia, many kilograms of gold coins, and 2 bank accounts containing about 65,000 euros in total. Haber adds the organization has about 80 members in Germany and has raised some 3.3 million euros for the Shahid Foundation since 2007. And coming up next, Mars will line up with the Earth and the Sun tonight. More details after the break. Welcome back. Iran and 6 world powers are hoping to narrow down differences at a new round of nuclear talks, less than 3 months before an informal July deadline for a deal. Negotiations resumed in the Austrian capital, Vienna, but the substantial differences remain. The scope of Iran's uranium enrichment program is the toughest issue. Iran argues it needs robust enrichment capacities to make low-enriched reactor fuel for its domestic energy needs. Britain, Germany and the United States want significant cuts to limit any potential effort to turn the program into making enriched material for nuclear arms. But Iran denies any interest in atomic arms. It is seeking an end to economic sanctions in return for any nuclear concessions. A first-step deal now in effect curbs some Iranian nuclear activities in return for limited sanctions relief. The Ukrainian parliament has convened to debate the deteriorating situation in the east of the country after the seizure of public buildings across the mainly Russian-speaking industrial heartland on Sunday evening. Kiev says the actions are a replay of events in Crimea, the Black Sea Peninsula Moscow annexed last month, and accused Moscow of trying to dismember the country. Later, deputies brawled in the chamber after communist leader Petro Simonenko accused nationalists of playing into the hands of Russia by adopting extreme tactics early in the Ukrainian crisis. He questioned what the Ukrainian authorities had done to prevent the violence and urged them to listen to the demands of people living in the region. 2 deputies from the Svoboda far-right nationalist party took exception to the charges by communist Petro Simonenko and seized him while he was talking from the rostrum. His party supporters rallied to his defense and a brawl broke out with deputies from other parties joining in and trading punches. Malaysians say pain and shock for MH370's mysterious disappearance have not yet faded on the 1-month anniversary of the incident. An Australian ship which picked up possible pings from the black box recorders of the missing plane has been unable to detect any further signals, and time is running out to narrow the massive search. Australian search teams say the hunt for underwater signals from the missing Malaysia airliner is likely to continue for days before a robot submersible is deployed to calm the seabed. The detection of sonic pings consistent with those emitted by aircraft black box recorders had raised hopes that a submersible will soon be sent down to the ocean floor. However, officials say more signals are first needed and acoustic listening will continue until the batteries powering the emissions expire. And now for news around the world in brief. Libya's caretaker government has submitted a letter to the Congress requesting more powers to continue doing its work. Otherwise, its members will be forced to resign. The government in Tripoli has been struggling to enforce security across the country since the removal and death of Muammar Gaddafi nearly 3 years ago. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel and his Chinese counterpart General Zhang Wanquan have spoken in a joint news conference at the Chinese Defense Ministry headquarters in Beijing. The 2 defense chiefs took on the issue of Beijing's rising territorial disputes in the region. In the news conference, Hagel said China doesn't have the right to establish an air defense zone without consultation. In one of the much-awaited astronomical events, Mars takes the celestial stage tonight when it lines up with the Earth and the Sun in a kind of cosmic preview to the red planet's closest approach to Earth in the past 6 years. The alignment between Mars, the Earth and the Sun is called opposition because Mars and the Sun are opposite to each other in the sky. After decades of civil war, South Sudan gained independence and became the world's newest country, but legacies of the conflict live on. Landmines and unexploded bombs still contaminate large tracts of land, threatening the lives and livelihoods of South Sudanese civilians. This report tells the story of Nancy Sunday, the first mine wolf operator in South Sudan.
My name is Nancy Sunday. I was born in 1988. I'm a first female operator for Mine Wolf.
Nancy drives a Mine Wolf, an armored vehicle that tills land in order to crush or detonate landmines that may be buried beneath the surface. During Sudan's civil war, armed forces on both sides defended their positions by laying thousands of landmines across roads and fields throughout the country.
When the war was over, we still have these remnants of these landmines are still in the ground. We came to realize that the local communities are stepping on these mines when cultivating, when going out rearing animals. So these mines is now killing the local innocent population.
Samuel Benjamin is the leader of a landmine clearance team that travels across South Sudan to clear these deadly remnants of war. The project is run by Norwegian People's Aid, or NPA, an organization supported by the United Nations, specializing in clearing landmines and explosives after conflicts have ended.
It's important to take out the mines because when there's mine here, now people can't cultivate, can't work because there's mine. When they cultivate like this one, sometimes the mine will turn it, they will kill the locals.
When we finish this land, we're confident that the area is now cleared, is safe, then we will hand it back to the community so that they can use it.
Samuel's team sets up a camp near a known contaminated area. The team, made up of South Sudanese clearance operators, will spend many months in one location. In this camp, men and women live and work side by side. NPA hires operators of both sexes, encouraging equal opportunity and allowing South Sudanese women to get involved in the reconstruction of their country.
Since I was young, I want to become a driver. And after now, I struggle, I become a driver.
Driving a mine wolf is a dangerous job, as landmines often detonate beneath the vehicles. But inside her heavily armored vehicle, Nancy is safe. That she is behind the wheel at all is remarkable. In South Sudan, where over 80% of women are illiterate and hold few economic rights, Nancy is challenging traditional roles by proving that women can do jobs usually reserved for men. Many of these women are not only professionals, they are also young mothers.
Jonathan is my son. He lives with me here in the camp. When Jonathan grows up, he has to go for studies till he finished school, so that he will help me in future when I'm old. South Sudan is now independent. We can do what we want to do in our country. But now I think it's improving that the mines are cleared. When we clear them all, there will be no landmine. I need to make the country clean so that we don't have accident. That's why we're here working.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. Lawmakers fail again to resolve the dispute on the value-added tax, but agree to continue discussions to find ways to fund the new wage scale. Angry protesters defy the Lebanese army in the northern city of Tripoli on a mission to implement a security plan in the city. And finally, Libya's caretaker government threatens to resign should it not be granted more power. Those are today's headlines from us here at Future Television. I'm Linda Tamim, wishing you all a very nice evening.
جيش لا توضع أمامه خطوط حمر